What's up, boys? Welcome to E-Rock's Locks of the Week for the UFC China Fight Night card. This card starts at 3 o'clock in the morning, all right? And we have something a little bit different. We're always improving. We're always upgrading. I've added where you can see the odds, okay? And you're just not seeing my parlay. Every week we get better, okay? Next week I might even add an intro, okay? But the main event for this weekend is Johnny Walker versus Zhang. And I am going to be so honest with you guys. I am not looking forward to this. Not because it's not going to be a good fight, but because I actually like Johnny Walker, okay? I call Johnny Walker Crazy Horse, okay? That's my little nickname for Johnny Walker. I know there's another fighter named Johnny Horse, Johnny Horse, Crazy Horse. He's a black guy. He's actually insane. I do like that Crazy Horse as well, but Johnny Walker is my Crazy Horse, all right? Let's keep it for real, okay? I was about to say let's keep it a buck. Shout out to the commenters that have told me I say keep it a buck a little bit too much, but Johnny Walker is a sizable, where are you? Johnny Walker plus 280. A plus 280. And I'm going to be honest with you, boys, I wouldn't even be mad if he was a plus 5,000. Okay? Johnny Walker has a tendency to get knocked out in some of the most fantastic ways that we have ever seen ever. Just watch any Johnny Walker fight, right? He's almost at a 50% win percentage. He is 8-7, right? He's 8-7, 7-6. This dude is Johnny Walker is 7-6 in the UFC. So if we're gonna be honest, he's fighting for he is absolutely fighting for a contract. Now I made a TikTok with a picture that he posted next to his brother Walter Walker, half brother, step brother, whatever. I like Walter Walker too, but Johnny looks massive. He looks massive, okay? So I'm excited for this fight. He does have a glass jaw, Johnny Walker, okay? So you cannot train the glassness of your jaw. Maybe you can. Maybe you could inject stem cells in your jaw and get a stronger jaw. Anyways, Zhang, 19-6 professional record. 3-0 in the UFC, just came off of just absolutely starching Anthony Smith. So, if we're going to be honest here, betting on Johnny Walker is considered a donation. It's honestly considered a donation. Look at these odds, boys. Plus KO, TKO, plus 450. I mean, if Johnny wins, that's the only way he wins. Unless, now listen, this is a big high IQ moment here, right? Walter Walker has won 3 back-to-back fights via heel hook. Now, if Johnny Walker is, be like, hey, man, like, how are you getting on a 3-fight win streak? Can you teach me how to do that? Maybe we might see a Johnny Walker via submission plus 1,100, right? But Zhang to win by KO, TKO is minus 280. It's just like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So we could just look for like exact method of victory. Can we see like Zhang to win by KO TKO in round 1 minus 145? That's minus 145. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're feeling spicy, Johnny Walker KO TKO. That's the only, or Johnny Walker submission, bro. But I don't want to bet against Johnny Walker, and I don't want to lead you guys down the wrong way, but We're gonna get back to that. The co-main for me is not Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is a fight that I am so not excited to even skip, to even go outside and smoke. While that, I'm just noticing that I have a gray hair right here. Whatever. Okay, we gotta get technical support on the line. Okay, we're gonna figure this out. I might have to dye 25, bro. Why do I have a gray? Might just be the sun. Whatever. I'm a little ADHD right now, boys. But Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling is something I'm absolutely not looking forward to. Absolutely not, right? Brian Ortega got injured in the octagon, jumping up and down while Bruce Buffer was announcing his name, okay? I am not excited to see a T-City appearance, okay? Honestly, he should go to, okay? The era of new is here. Aljamain Sterling, though, is one of the most disliked people by the UFC. I have no idea why. I do fuck with Aljamain Sterling, even though he is kind of a kind of a rule bender, kind of a baby in the octagon, likes to use rules to his advantage, like the no knees on a grounded opponent. He's having his hand on the ground and purposely staying there and just dodging punches. Like, I understand that, and I get it, but Brian Ortega is who you're putting in front of Aljamain Sterling. I know he's excited. I know Aljamain Sterling is probably having the best fight camp ever. I'm going to be honest with you. So we're just going to smack Aljamain Sterling here, minus 310. Minus 310. And honestly, Zhang Mingyang being minus 355, right, against Johnny Walker, and Aljamain Sterling being minus 310 against Brian Ortega is a little atrocious. What's the submission line for this? What's Aljamain Sterling via submission? Just via submission. Plus 250 for exact method of victory. Aljamain Sterling to win by submission is plus 400. We're taking that. We're taking that all day. I'm not saying Aljamain Sterling doesn't have any stand-up, but why would he use his stand-up? He's a great grappler. He trains with Merab Dvalishvili. He's always been a grappling heavy fighter. We are taking Aljamain Sterling to win via submission plus 400. Okay, I'm feeling submissions. Now, Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta is my co-main event. This should have been the co-main event. Let's be for real. Now, Sergey Pavlovich knocked. Okay, all right. Sergey Pavlovich was the biggest boogeyman. You want to talk about Khamzat Chimaev being the boogeyman? Sergey Pavlovich was one win away from securing a John Jones squabble. Okay, Tom Aspinall didn't get it, but I'm very confident that if Sergey Pavlovich starched Tom Aspinall, talks would be a little bit different. Sergey's a lot smaller than Tom Aspinall height-wise, you know what I'm saying? They're kind of around the same frame size, but Sergey wobbled Tom. Sergey wobbled Tom in that exchange. Just Tom is an absolute massive lad, and then he exchanged with a different shot, and Sergey fell like a ton of bricks. I watched that live, and I lost almost $500 betting on Sergey. That's how much. That was the most I've ever bet on a fighter to this day with Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. All right, we're going to be going Sergey Pavlovich, KO TKO. I understand Waldo Cortes-Acosta is the dude, right? I understand, like, oh, wow, he's on a hot, fat win streak, right? He's on a nasty win streak, right? And he's like 7-1. He's 7-1 in the UFC. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He did just beat up the polar bear, Sergey Spivak, but Sergey Spivak didn't really look locked in on that fight. I met Sergey Spivak the night that the day before Waldo Cortes-Acosta beat the polar bear up. All right, I met the polar bear the day before, and he seemed all right, but in the octagon, my boy was not locked in. Absolutely not. His last two fights, Sergey Spivak and Ryan Spann. You took Ryan Spann into the second round. No knock on Ryan Spann, but Ryan Spann is not no Sergey Pavlovich, okay? You see the lines. I understand Sergey is coming off of two back-to-back losses, right? But Sergey got slept. Oh, he won a fight against Derezno Rosenstruck. I completely forgot we saw Sergey Pavlovich in 2025. Absolutely forgot. My memory is slipping, boys. But Sergey is 1-3 in his last two, okay? In his last three. He got absolutely dismantled by Alexander Volkov. That's because Alexander Volkov is like a whopping 6'7". All right, shout out to Skrilla. He's a whopping 6'7". All right, he just stayed on the back foot and just completely demolished my boy Sergey. All right, and he had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to go. He couldn't walk forward. He couldn't wait for Volkov to walk in. He was just using his range. And that was kind of a little bit of a beef match, if I remember that correctly. They had a little bit of problems. Even after the fight, Sergey pushed my boy Volkov, okay? And Volkov was combing his hair in that fight, I'm pretty sure. What a legendary squabble. But we are definitely taking my boy Sergey Pavlovich KO TKO. That's the only way my boy gets this job done. The only way my boy gets this job done. Now, the third fight that I'm looking forward to the most on this card, all right, is erKavanagh versus Charles Johnson. Now, Charles Johnson is the Twitter warrior. He's been on Twitter all day and night ever since he got signed to the UFC. erKavanagh is a savage, okay? 9-0. 9-0 pro MMA record. He's 2-0 in the UFC, coming off of back-to-back decisions. Decisions unanimous. Now, Charles Johnson beat up Joshua Van. He knocked Joshua Van out. Never forget. Never forget. He beat up Sumudaerji, who is also on this card, okay? My boy, Charles Johnson, is a banger fighter. He's a savage. Just his resume is just a little wild, okay? He lost a split decision to Odi Osborne. He got beat up by Muhammad Mukayev, okay? Ever since he's been in the UFC, he's been getting absolute savages put in front of him, all right? Let's be for real. I am going to be honest with you. I am going to take Charles Johnson just off of the experience. Just off of the experience. He's a plus 170. Okay, that's a good money line. That's good money line for my boy Charles Johnson. We are at 125 pounds. This is more than likely going to go to a decision. But Charles Johnson be banging him out. Who knows? Who knows how good erKavanagh's cardio is? I mean, his last two fights, he did push the pace and take him to decision. But Charles Johnson has been pushing the pace for a few years now, okay? He beat up the #1 contender at 125 pounds. Let's keep that in mind, okay? I'm not counting out Charles Johnson just yet, no matter how cringe or how weird bro wants to be in his interviews or whatever he got going on. You know what I'm saying? Now, talking about a Charles Johnson victim, Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. Now, Sumudaerji did catch those hands against my boy Charles Johnson, but for whatever reason, they put him above Charles Johnson. Sumudaerji is 1-3 in his last 4. The 3 people he lost to are Charles Johnson, Tim Elliott, and Matt Schnell, but still, you're 1-3 in your last 4. Seriously, how are you the favorite here? Now, Kevin Borjas is 10-3. My boy is 1-2 in the UFC, so he's not the best of resumes that we're looking at, but he's coming off of a great decision win over Ronaldo Rodriguez all the way in March, all right? Making a little bit of a quick turnaround. This fight, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to throw up in the air. It's UFC China. It's going to be a China card, China crowd, okay? They're going to be behind my boy Sumudaerji. Sumudaerji is kind of an animal. He has the experience. He is 1-3 in his last 4, though. That's kind of the only thing that's keeping me away from betting on him. I'm going to be honest with you. So I think I'm going to smack with Kevin Borjas here. I think we're going to be seeing a nice little upset. Plus 150 money line. I'm liking those odds. 125 pounds. This shit is definitely going to go to a decision. Maybe a submission, but I could totally see a decision going on here. I hate to say this. But I might have to lock in. Zhang Minyang KO TKO, boys. It's more than likely. This is like 90% gonna happen, but I hate betting against my boy Johnny Walker. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I love Johnny Walker. We're adding this to the slip. So far, we're at plus 9,518. So if we put $10 on here, we're making $961 off of a nice little 5-leg. 3 like particulars on the parlay, KO, TKO, and submission. But I'm kind of rocking with it so far. For the locks of the week. I'm going to rock with my boy, the second fight of the night. So Young You. My boy is an absolute savage. He's fighting a dude named Long Xiao. Long Xiao, however you want to say that name. He's coming off of a decision split loss against Chong Ho Lee. And then he knocked out a dude named Quang Lee. Alright, I don't know either of those two fighters, so I cannot really give my assumption on that. But So Young You is my boy. He's 4-0 in his last 4. He's 4-0-1 in his last 5, coming off of a no contest all the way back in 2024. Last time he lost was 2023, December. All right? Previous to that, he lost in 2021. I like my boy So Young You. I don't understand why they're playing with him with the lines, you know what I'm saying? But we're totally taking my boy right there. Absolutely. 100%. And I'm going to be honest with you, boys. I am excited for this card. I think I might actually wake up at 3 a.m. Let's lock this parlay in. You know, what happens if we put 10 on? 10 for 1,750. 10 for 1,750. All right? I think that that's a good idea. We're going to lock this in right here. Okay? We're going to lock this in. This is our official parlay for UFC China. We will be waking up at 3 a.m. We're taking Aljamain Sterling via submission plus 400. Sergey by KO TKO 100. Charles Johnson, even though he's cramped, we're taking him. That's our boy. I think they got him all wrong against erKavanagh plus 170. Kevin Borjas against Sumudaerji. Dude is 1-3 in his last 4. Why is he the favorite? Zhang Mingyang by KO TKO. I hate to do it, but I had to lock it in. And So Young Yu. So Young Yu, do not let me down, So Young Yu. All right, boys, this is erKavanagh locks of the week. All right, UFC China is an absolute banger. Make sure you eat your milk, drink your chocolate milk. Okay, boys, do your push-ups. I'll see you guys later. Look at my new shades. Oh yeah, out, boys.